welcome to AORC Pit Lane Live. Welcome back, everyone, and we're lucky enough to be now joined at the desk by Jess Gardner and Jeremy Carpentier from the Yamaha Ballards MX Store off-road racing team. Now, obviously for these two, there's a little bit of something different here. We've got Jess, you're a 6-time champion. It's a pretty astonishing thing to just say out loud to actually realise how many times you've won this. Let's talk about, obviously, last year, 2020, COVID interrupted, only 3 rounds, not as many as we all wanted. Talk to me through how that impacted your job outside with racing, sponsors, things like that. Just talk us through the experience of COVID as a racing sense.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. When it first sort of hit, no one really knew what to expect or really what was going on. It was, I guess at the start, we were kind of joking about it at the race when they were saying we were at Dungog for round 3. And yeah, they were saying, it might be, down to 500 per event next week. And, everyone was kind of joking, as if that's ever going to happen. And yeah, next minute, the whole world was locked down. So it became pretty surreal. And we had to keep ourselves busy, I guess, because we weren't going racing anymore. And, we tried to do other events that were still running. Obviously, it was a lot harder with nationals and travelling interstate. Obviously, we were in Western Sydney as well, so we were in the Sydney lockdown. So that made it interesting. But, I was lucky. Obviously, I work full-time during the week in a civil construction company, so we were still really busy. So that kept me going Monday to Friday. And weekends got a lot quieter. I've seen a lot more friends and family, so, they loved it. And, it just made it a lot trickier for us and had to do other things to keep ourselves busy.
Well, it sounds like you found the positive out of it. Seeing your friends and that isn't that bad for any of Jess's friends that are watching that thought that was a little bit of an answer we would rather go racing. That's fair though. I'd rather go racing if I was a 6-time champion as well. Talk us through, obviously, off-road racing. There's so many different parts to it. There's so many different challenges. What would be the hardest thing for you about off-road racing?
That's a tough one, I guess. Not knowing what to expect. The tracks are always different. They're always changing. The competitors are there. Everyone's walking the test, and I guess the whole being in a male-dominated environment as well, that's always been a tough challenge, trying to prove yourself as a female in the sport and to show yourself that you're worthy for the sponsors side of thing, really getting all that side together and organised. And yeah, I guess the whole package of it, it keeps us busy, and it's pretty overwhelming sometimes, and you've got to put it all together and put on a good show at the same time.
I can imagine it was interesting with that question when we put it down. A lot of us were just thinking on the bike, on the track, but it was funny that you talk about obviously sponsors, things like that, trying to basically keep up and make sure you're getting your worth. At the end of the day, you are a 6-time champion, so obviously that's a different challenge that not a lot of people experience.
Yeah, most certainly. That's it's all part of it, and I'm very fortunate to have amazing sponsors who now have been with me for many years, and a few more have been jumping on board of recent. So it's it's pretty surreal, and it's good to be a part of it. And I guess we're helping young Danielle McDonald this last 2 years, so that's really special to give back a bit to the juniors as well, and really go back to where it all started for me. And man, I must be getting old. It feels like it, but it's all a part of it now. So it's been fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. And we'll jump over to you, Jeremy. Sorry to leave you out in the cold. I didn't mean that. Obviously for you, how was last year? Because obviously with the COVID impact, that would have been tough for you, obviously not being able to go home and visit family if you wanted to in that respect with the restrictions of travel, and it's still at that point now, I can imagine. Talk us through how your 2020 season was with these kind of restrictions and things like that.
2020 was really tough for me because I started injured. I hurt myself pretty bad at the start of January, and I pretty much didn't have any off season. I went back on the bike a week before the first round, and I was struggling hard. It was hard. The first round I was unfit, not ready, bike not set up, and so I was kind of learning through the rounds and taking it as it was coming. And unfortunately, got cut at Dungog after round 3, where I got my best result. So it was a bit of unfortunate, but it is what it is. We can't complain about it. It is what we can't change anything. And it's been a bit hard. I haven't been back home since maybe a year and a half now, maybe nearly 2 years, and can't even. Normally I always go back and do a race here and there and do stuff like that, but none of that had happened because it's just too hard. Especially with the visa I'm on at the moment, if I want to go out of the country, it's just a mission. So I just can't do it. to just stay here. It's pretty good. We're pretty fortunate with through all this COVID situation. Like we've been just locked down once for a little bit. I mean, in New South Wales, but yeah, we've been pretty good, and we're pretty much back to normal. Where in France, especially, they're starting a fourth lockdown or something. So it's pretty bad. Yeah, rather be here, I guess, and just enjoying what we're doing, and good to be back at racing.
100%. I think that's a really good point. Like, we are quite lucky to obviously have what we've got and to be able to be out here racing. That brings me to my next question. Obviously, you've made the jump across from France to Australia in terms of your racing and just life in general. Talk to me what the biggest difference between riding in France compared to riding in Australia.
I'd say the tracks, because we run more enduro rounds in France than like with nice little grass track and the off cambers and all that, where it's like more like go quick in the dust and just forget about the rest and just pin it to win it kind of thing. So no, it's pretty good. I enjoy it here, and we do like a bit more of everything. It's something good. Like we're gonna start tomorrow with the cross country and do sprint on Sunday, and then later in the season you're gonna have a 2-day enduro. So it's pretty good. The variety of the tracks are good as well here, because we're gonna have like a couple of sand rounds and a couple of like grass rounds and like more teco. So every weekend is different, which is a good thing. I like it.
Yeah, that's good. The variety is one of the main components of the championship, which gets better and better every year. Jess, I'll come back to you here. Describe the level of competition you find in the women's class and how it's changed from when you first entered AORC to where you are now. And obviously there's a lot more competition, a lot more girls getting involved now. So just talk to us how that's progressed over time.
Yeah, it's definitely been, I guess, up and down, because when I first came into it was back in 2010, was my first year in seniors, and I was pretty much on par with Gemma Wilson. I remember we went into the final moto at the 4-day, we were 0.1 of a second apart, and we just had a final moto left after 3 days of racing. So it was very competitive the first couple of years when I got into the racing, because Gemma and I were at such a similar level, and Alison Parker was sort of moving on and retiring about then. And then it sort of, it goes up and down, and then, Taylor Jones come along, and then, she was learning the ropes of how enduro works, and then suddenly, bam, she was going real fast, and I was going, oh man, I got to keep up with this young chick again now, and I got to get moving. And obviously she's gone off to America since, and then of recent, Emily's always been there battling, and now Emma Milzovic is there. So, and she's riding strong, and obviously from the motocross background, she's a very aggressive rider. She loves the cross country, so tomorrow is going to be elbows up, that's for sure. But it's good fun, off the track. You'll see us chatting out behind the pits for hours if you let us, So it's a really good environment, and when helmets go on, it's all racing, I guess. Yeah, we all want to win it, hey?
Exactly. I think that's the perfect part. Like, once the helmet's on, there's no friends, and then once the helmets are off, we can all be friends afterwards. You mentioned before about Danielle joining the team over the last few years. Just tell us a little bit more about Danielle and what we can expect to see from her developing in the years to come.
Yeah, most certainly. So she was only 12 last year when we put her on board, and it's been a little, project that I've wanted to put together for quite some years, and Jeremy really pushed me, let's make it happen, and that's what I made a lot of phone calls, and all the sponsors were really supportive of it and excited to help put it together. So she's now on board with the program, and we couldn't be more happy with how she's going. She's a little bit shy, so hopefully we'll get the media eventually get to talk to her a bit more and get a bit more out of her. But no, she's going really good, really fast at the moment too. She stepped up onto the 125 this year. So last year she was on the 85 for us and dominated. We didn't give her any pressure, we just wanted to help her, develop her, and that's one of the main reasons I chose Danielle in the beginning as well, because she was so young and had so many years of juniors left to really work with her. And I think she likes hanging around with us. She was just here before with dinner for us, so she's having a lot of fun and learning a lot too. So she's definitely going to be a future star to watch out for.
No, it's a great little addition to your team. And this one, I will ask Jeremy this question, but Jess, you can obviously jump in as well. Talk to us about, obviously, with your team dynamic between you and Jess. Talk to us about, obviously there's private time and then there's racing time. What's the dynamic like between you two at a weekend? Is it something a little bit different? Obviously, you don't normally have too many teammates with the kind of connection you two have.
No, I guess we don't change. We do the same all the time. We us.
So Jess, does that mean he has really bad jokes to you all the time?
No, he's all right.
Oh, okay, sorry, I won't cut you off there. I heard your jokes aren't great, but go ahead.
No, I guess yeah, we're the same. Like, cause we all obviously live all the time together, train together, and like spend all our time just when we're at work, we get a break. So that's a good part of it, going to work for that. But then on weekends, yeah, I guess it's help because I'm helping a bit with a bike setup and all that because of my experience on setup stuff, and she would help me as well, like for some guidance, like. To get out of some stress zone and stuff like that. So I think we complete a lot each other, and it's good. It's good, and especially with Daniel as well on board, like trying to give back to younger generation and trying to bring them to the top. It's a good thing. There's way too many girls in the team, but.
Well, all I'll take out of that is they're looking for a fourth rider. So obviously, I don't know if Jeremy will be on board with that, but we'll wait and see. We've obviously you two. Now, talk about avid social media people. Both of you are very across socials. So you would have seen that we put out some questions to the fans. Now, I'm not going to ask all of them because we got a fair few for you two, but we'll break it right down. Now, Jeremy, I'm going to come straight to you. It's from Corey McMahon. So it's one of our competitors here. You probably need to remove your hat for this one, but where'd you get your haircut from?
That's the reason why I wear hats, Cause
so we can't get you to take that off. We got the camera up nice and close. Just who cut it?
It's actually our friend. One of the good friends is a hairdresser, and she's like been looking after it. So.
Jeez, I don't know if we can get a close up of that. It doesn't look too bad. I think Corey's throwing a bit of shade. Is that a bit of blonde colour through it?
Yeah, that's natural.
That's natural. Jeez, old natural highlights.
So it could be a model anyway.
Well, you've heard it here first. If the career of motorbikes doesn't work out, he's open to modelling offers. Jess, we'll jump over to you. We're obviously another lot of questions coming through, but this one comes through from one of your sponsors, MX Store. Is there anything better than a caramel sundae with Oreo topping?
Ooh, okay, they got me there. So, Jeff Munro introduced that to us, and it was pretty good. I must admit, I try not to go to Macca's too often, but when they do get me, definitely not before a race, but on the way home, you're pinning at home, trying to get there ready for work Monday, and normally that's dessert, definitely.
I love it, and we'll come back. So we've got one here from Moni Simeone, 876, sorry if I've said that wrong, but if you could race any race in the world, what would it be?
There's lots. There's lots of races I'd love to do.
Do you know what? Give me three and I reckon we'll answer the question.
All right. I wouldn't mind ticking off a Dakar one day. Le Touquet in France, because that looks epic. It's a beach sand race in France. That looks pretty cool.
Feel like you got a pretty good connection to get back to France eventually, something tells me, but that's okay. We'll go back there one day.
Yeah, we'll keep our contacts. And the last one, I would like to do Sea to Sky.
Okay.
So a bit of a mix.
Yeah.
I'm an all-rounder. I would love to do a bit of sand, a bit of extreme, because I'm quite a technical rider. So I'd like to give that a go. And yeah, it's a big bucket list. Ask Jeremy. I'm like a tourist.
I'm not following that.
You're not going to do them as well?
No.
No, that's great. Well, I want to thank you both, obviously, for taking the time. And I wish you all the best for the season ahead in your respective classes. And I hope the team keeps going really well. It's a really nice thing you're doing in bringing in the younger riders to that team to give them a really good setup for their careers going forward.